You're a big man with a big head.
My head is large. Hey, this is Corey Miceli. This is the Corey Miceli Show. We examine the real and the surreal and everything in between. The T is Benix Demandus and over there. What the hell name town are you in again? I always mispronounce it, but I know it's in Denmark.
It's Faxeladeplads. There's no way you can ever pronounce it.
Yeah, it's like some fucking magical spell with you now.
So far
Say
from
it again. Say it again.
It's Faxeladeplads.
Yeah.
Basically,
you speak in tongues too.
Yeah, it's basically Faxebarn place. But yeah.
Okay, Matthias accuses me of being a conspiracy theorist. We're getting ready to have that discussion. Let's just have it on air because let's examine this. I say I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a reality examiner.
That's not what you said.
What did I say?
You said you were a conspiracy examiner. Because you know,
I said I'm a conspiracy and reality examiner.
Reality is subjective. Reality is subjective to your worldview, which is subjective to who you are as a person. So
well,
it's pretty hard to examine reality because like a lot of it isn't really objective, you know.
Gravity, as we're taught, does not exist.
We're all just fat.
Gravity, as we're taught, does not exist. Have you seen a helium balloon, Matthias?
A helium balloon, yes.
What direction does it go?
Up.
Where's the gravity?
Down.
Well, how come the gravity's not acting on the helium balloon?
I don't know, bro. I'm not a chemist.
Okay, I'm going to tell you why. Because it's called the law of density. Things that are more dense go down, less dense go up. So gravity is the thought, which is like a magical force that's constantly acting on stuff. It's just a myth. It's not accurate. But so my point is, I don't know if you'd call this a conspiracy or what. I call it a reality. When a lie is told to enough people over and over enough times, it is accepted as a perceived reality, but that does not make it a reality.
Yes.
You agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. So let's get on to this. Squat life or no life? Got started with TSLF. Want to talk about our activated product release. I'll just talk about it and I'll get it later in part 2. Back in around 2013, 2014, when I jumped back into like heavy duty powerlifting, I found that I had a fairly easy time regaining my strength. But my weakest link, both in training and in competitions, was like sustaining and maintaining, my body's like ability to function properly. Meaning, I would like get muscular cramps, I would experience fatigue, my breathing would feel off a little bit. So I dug deep into what it took to remedy that. What I found was that as an athlete advances in their strength output, and for some reason a correlation of age also, the body's consumption of electrolytes and other compounds related to a highly functioning central nervous system get depleted faster and faster and faster. So I also found there were some other compounds that help drive the function of the body. The breathing mechanism is influenced by the magnesium levels in your body. Magnesium citrate was a compound that gave a fast remedy to help increase oxygen uptake through breathing, obviously. So I just basically homebrewed a product that helped me fight off fatigue, helped reduce or eliminate cramping, and helped me breathe better, and also helped maximize my hydration. So there's a new product that we released this past weekend, Squat Life Activator. Now, backing up, I did release this product under a different name back in 2020, right before COVID hit us. It's called CNS Activator, but I found that the average person doesn't know what the heck CNS means. So take some advice from people that I think are pretty smart, and we just changed the name to Squat Life Activator. It's a whole new category of product. So let's talk about that for a minute. Squat life or no life? Let's back up and talk about the boy Corey here's resume. Life is about visions, I would say, at least a big part of it. Casting a vision into the future and doing what it takes to turn that vision into reality. Thought, well, you look like a creepy priest at a confessional right now with this. Should I start confessing all my sins?
Yeah, yeah. Let's do that. Let's talk about your regrets, Corey. What are your biggest regrets? How many Hail
Not
Marys
pushing
do I need to
hard.
give you?
No more. We're not going to go down that path. So casting a vision, a powerful vision to the future, doing what it takes to make that vision a reality. I always knew I would have a supplement, a product that would be very unique. I didn't know what it was, and this is that product. So we're going to have a new website up and running here in a week or so, and we're going to get that product out to the masses. It's going to be big. It's going to be a whole new product category that really ramps up and supports people for real, actual functional energy that's not stimulant based. So we'll get back to that. Let's talk about visions for the future. When I was a younger athlete, I had a vision of the future. I wanted to be the strongest college football player in the nation. And I did what it took to be there. A lot of things fell into place, and I made sacrifices and commitments and sought out the information and sought out a support system that allowed me to get in position to be the strongest college football player in the nation. I don't think that was, if I could give myself some better advice at that age, I probably would have had a more comprehensive goal. But be that as it may, that's the vision I cast for myself, is to become the strongest college football player in the nation. Late fall of 1994, I was that strongest college football player in the nation. I was featured in national newspapers. I squatted 900 pounds, bench pressed 500 pounds 8 days a week easily, power clean 424 pounds, etc. In that process, I probably overcommitted to brutal, raw, just pure strength. I didn't spend enough time developing other components of athletic ability. Suffered a devastating knee injury at the end of my senior season, and just through some soul searching and figuring out a legitimate type of business to start, I created an agency that was a blend of consulting, training, and mentoring, if you will, called D1 Performance. So I had a vision of building a business that was, at the time, a complete new type of category, a true sports performance business. This was back in 1997, before the sports performance market was really established, and went all in, much like I went all in on establishing that my position of being the strongest football player in the nation. I went all in on having the best sports performance business in the nation. Fast forward a few years, 2007, my sports performance business was very, very, very successful, both financially and, more importantly, from the products, aka the results we help athletes achieve. We have multiple kids playing in the NFL, Major League Baseball, professional boxing, Olympics, legitimate world records, FINA world records. I lost track of how many kids we helped earn college scholarships. It was very successful. It was a complete, multifaceted system. Met some phenomenal people in that world along the way. Kind of got in over my head where I had another fitness facility, which was pretty cool. It's a whole other story. We'll get into that another time. And just the decision I made at the time was to sell the brand, the D1 brand, and it's a $26.2 million company today. I'm really proud of the legacy that I created with that brand. Go look it up if you want. D1 Training. Sold it to an investment group. It was owned largely in part by Peyton Manning and some of his colleagues. So let's go beyond that. Another vision I'd set for myself, actually I was 18 years old, was to be what's what I'm looking for, to be a pro powerlifter, to reach the status of a professional powerlifter. What does that mean exactly? It's basically just how much you lift. It's not anything to do with a financial reward necessarily. And I was talking to Ernie Franz about it, and he looked at me, he said, well, if you learn how to sumo deadlift, you could probably be the best in the world at that. So I took that seriously, and I cast a vision to the future that at one point in time, I would be the best sumo deadlifter in the world. Fast forward 2016, for a period of time, I was the best sumo deadlifter in the world. I can see you're very intrigued by this story, Matthias.
Oh my God, it's like it almost had past 11. So I'm sorry, a yawn just came because my brain has been so high function all day that it just needs oxygen,
Yeah, understood. So fast forward, let's talk about this. Squat life or no life. This is the vision for the future, Matthias. We are going to put a festival together that is a hybrid festival of athletics, entertainment, and music. And the backbone or the energy behind this is going to be all positive energy, acceptance, love, courage, fellowship, communication, positive vibes only. So I am in the midst of putting together a spectacular festival, unlike anyone that's ever been put together in this nation before. So I'm going to start giving some weekly updates on the progress of this. Right now, we got some serious teams behind the scenes. We've got investors. We've got people in the industry that have got quarter century experience of putting together mega shows and very powerful, prolific shows. So we've got a few, that's what I'm looking for, a few very critical, important steps to take before we can really start announcing the location and the date, that sort of thing. We are putting together the Squat Life Festival. Athletics, entertainment, music. It's going to be big. You're going to be part of it. You got to get your ass over here to the US of A sooner rather than later, because this is the catapult forward to many, many powerful moves that we're going to make. So anyway, let's get back to your conspiracy questions, Matthias. You said if the government told me that cheese came from a cow, I would say they're full of crap. You're right. Cheese does not come from a cow.
Yeah, it comes from milk, which comes from a cow. Beep, you hung up on me. Fucking jackass.
So, Matthias, is the world round or flat?
Round.
How do you know?
I've been told all my life, again and again and again, and there's videotapes from outer space, cameras pointing at Earth, and you see that it's round.
Well, that's what you're told. But have you ever flown an airplane before?
Yes.
What's it look like from your vantage point when you're in an airplane? It doesn't look round. I promise you that.
But
it's called horizon.
But it's like 1.5 miles over the Earth. Do you really know that's enough to make an assessment with the eyes?
Well, I get it. Now, let me say this. I don't know. It's a very complex subject matter. You really start looking at when you break down the science. If the Earth really is a ball with a 25,000 mile circumference, then there should be 3.8 feet of drop. Excuse me. I'm just thinking about there should be 8 inches per mile of 8 inches of curvature per mile expressed on average. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So let's stand by some water. There's a lake up in in the state of Michigan in the United States, and it's about 17 miles long. You can take a laser pointer from one end of the lake to the other, and there is absolutely no curvature witnessed or expressed in that 17-mile stretch. You could take it to you could also take that experiment, if you will, to a much greater sized body of water, like some salt flats, for example. People have done this experiment on salt flats where they have taken a laser and over 100-mile range, there's been zero curvature expressed. So something doesn't add up is my point. I don't know what, and if I claimed I knew the exact answer, I'd be lying, but I can tell you this, in easy, verifiable, and easy to replicate experiments, you can show or prove that there is no curvature ever recorded in a simple experiment that a human being can go do with easy to establish implements, and it can be replicated over and over and over. What are your thoughts on that?
What about tectonic plates? How big are they?
I don't know. I have no clue. I'm just talking about we can go on a commercial airliner and we can see the horizon, which maintains its same position in our field of vision, whether we're 5 feet above the horizon or 5,000 feet above the horizon. No change in the horizon does not change its perspective point, which it should if there's a curvature that we're experiencing.
And I
don't want to get into it. I'm no expert on the subject. My point is, there's some things that we're told that our basic observation can be in complete contradiction, but we still believe it because we've been told it over and over and over and over.
Now, I'm just thinking because earthquakes happen, like earthquakes and volcanoes are a thing when tectonic plates, they move against each other and they create, like they bump against each other, either rise up as a mountain or volcano, or they don't match in some way, it causes an earthquake, or maybe even a tsunami, And I'm saying, how big are they? How big are they? Because if a tectonic plate is like 200 miles long, then I doubt there's going to be much curvature.
I just got done telling you how much there should be. In a 25,000 mile sphere, there should be 8 inches of curvature expressed for every mile.
Yeah, but is that for every mile, or is that on average around the Earth?
Well, of course, on average. There's mountains, there's valleys, there's hills.
So that means if a tectonic plate is like 200 miles long, then that's probably going to be 200 miles with barely any curvature.
So it would be more shaped like a cube then.
Well, kinda,
But okay. But now, if we're shown pictures from space, which are easily proven to be CGI images, then it appears to be pretty much a sphere.
Yeah, but maybe it's so long away that any like curvature, like cube curvature, is like disappeared, not able to be seen. It just kind of mixes in with everything else.
I just told you it should be 8 inches on average. 8. So for every mile for every mile it's 0, then it has to become 16. Then on average, there's 8 inches of curvature per mile if we're talking about a 25,000 mile circumference sphere.
Yes.
I'm just thinking something doesn't add up. I don't know the final real answer, and I don't think anyone out there really does. Another thing that's interesting, if you look at like a picture of the globe from like the 1920s, before there was any kind of air space travel, it looks exactly the same as what's presented to us today. So that's a pretty damn good guess for.
Yeah, because back in the day, men didn't have GPS systems, but if they had any chance of being respected in society, like being paid more money or actually having a pretty woman bear your children, then you have to fucking walk or sail in some direction and fucking kill people and fucking discover what lies over there, So it's like, I mean, they created, like, they didn't have a GPS, but they fucking found out where things are, and they made maps and all that shit.
Yeah, what a miracle. It just happened to be. Well, here's another thing interesting.
What a miracle. I happened to slaughter 200, 300 people, and now I have a bit of a map.
Well, that is nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I think you're right. So
but it does have. I brought it up because of what you said. God. I did.
I still don't think it has anything to do with what we're talking about, but I do think you're right.
You said you said we didn't, like, you said the maps back then and what we have of maps now are pretty much identical, and yeah, I said because people were like discover us,
We'll get back to that.
So they mapped it over hundreds of years.
Fair enough. Another thing, if you look
true.
Well, all right, let's move.
But you're hearing it from me and not the government,
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Okay, Matthias, let's talk about ESP, extrasensory perception. Do you think it's true, a real thing, or not a real thing?
The only place I've heard about ESP is the channel ESPN. So you're gonna have to explain it to me.
Extrasensory perception, like what are our
extrasensory? Oh, is that like when you're a medium?
I don't know, but sure, it could be. Extrasensory perception. We have our base one: our touch, smell, sight, taste. Those are the basic perceptions that we have, correct?
Yeah, and some people feel when it's about to rain because it hurts their bones.
There you go. So is that proof there's extrasensory perception?
Well, it proves we have like sensory, like nerves and cells, whatever.
But can all people sense when it's going to rain?
All people who have like a bone issue, like a broken bone or something like that, probably.
I've had broken bones and I can't sense when it's going to rain.
You can?
Nope.
Maybe it's like a defect. It's a defect bone.
No, it could be. I was on a, well, here, let me get to the point. I was on a radio show last night, Empire Radio Club, with my guy Steve Ragsdale from Loud Money Music, A-Bug Carter, Chicago Biggie, and DJ Devon. And we started the show talking about energy and what to do with that. So my position is a total, complete dynamic of extrasensory perception that has to do with the energy of like emotions and intentions and feelings and mood, things of that nature. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're trying to create an experience that like makes emotions take over your body.
Not that. Like, have you ever walked into a room and it's been like eerily quiet and it just something doesn't feel right? Or the opposite, you walked into a room and you can like sense the energy is like really good and positive and it feels welcoming. It's like, yeah. So that's such an aspect of I'll say reality that has not really been taught or explored, and is definitely not part of like mainstream rhetoric. But I think it's like such an important part of the human experience, man.
And a lot of people haven't really been taught about how to control it. Like you can walk into a room and control the atmosphere by the way you carry yourself.
There you go. That's a good example. And this past weekend, one of the girls that works with us, it's a simple statement. Yeah, I feel it's a very profound statement. She said, "Remember, Corey, there's certain things we can control, and the things that are out of our control, we can control how we respond to them." And that ties into it like an energetic state of mind, and state of being, like so well. It's simple yet like so profound, man. Because we all, Matthias, I think you could agree with me on this. When you're in a good, stable state of mind, the decisions we make tend to be a lot better than if we're in a state of panic, fear, or confusion or something of that nature. Would you agree with that?
Well, it depends, but generally, yes.
Sure. Thank you for not arguing on that one.
You're going to pay for it later, if you know what I mean.
I don't know what you... I guess I'll figure it out. So
you will.
Operating on a high emotional frequency. So what would be a higher frequency of emotions? Like courage, acceptance, communication, forgiveness. What are some other positive emotional emotions you could like articulate, Matthias? What else?
Can you name the list again? I was too busy like laughing inside of how genius I am, how funny I am.
Courage, love, acceptance, forgiveness. Those just emotions that are definitely have a positive, that create a positive experience or a positive
courage, love, emotion, forgiveness, letting go, kind of forgiveness, but like just letting go.
Acceptance, maybe.
Like ecstasy, like excitement.
Sure.
Feeling like feeling good about yourself, proud.
Yeah, those sorts of things, absolutely. So in a negative spiral, we could say jealousy, hate, fear, just
bitter.
I would say I'll put anger in there. Although anger is a separate issue. I think anger can go either positive or negative depending on how it's managed.
Yeah,
but it's a separate subject.
Yeah, excessive anger or poorly directed anger, bitterness, inferiority.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we've established generally what a positive
depression.
Oh, absolutely. So we've established what generally speaking, a higher emotional vibrational frequency is, and generally speaking, what a lower emotional vibrational frequency is. So why am I talking about that? Because it ties into the movement, squat life or no life movement. Man, it's tying back into mental health, man. None of us are perfect, Matthias. We agree on that, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So, mental health issues, man, are so profound and so powerful. And for so many years or decades, whatever you want to call it, especially, well, I'll say for everyone, like people have been almost felt like having a mental health issue has some sort of like shame or like social like quirkiness attached to it. Would you agree with that?
Well, yeah, because we don't fucking want it.
Right.
Like,
so
yeah, there's shame attached, and we are shaming people, and sometimes for good reasons, sometimes for poor reasons, sometimes too much, sometimes not enough. You know, it varies. But yeah, there's shame attached to feeling unhealthy, and if there isn't, that's a problem, because we have, for example, health at any size movement. Like they should be feeling shame, you know, or at least not be lying about it to hide the shame, you know.
I can understand what you just said. Back up a couple sentences.
Yeah.
Back up a couple sentences. I'm not sure what you just said.
Well, I said, yeah, when you have a mental health issue, there's usually like shame about your given shame, or you're feeling shame, or, you know, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. For example, the health at any movement size, these guys, they should be feeling shame. Some don't, some probably do, but lie that they don't, you know, as a way of coping with it. And they stay fat, and they encourage others to be morbidly obese, children as well. They're fucking killing people all over, you know, with a bad mindset. They should probably be feeling shame and fucking like dealing with it, with their mental health issue, and fucking losing weight, you know. Maybe some feel too much shame. I will give you that before you start branding on me, but I mean,
I would say, well, let's get over it, because, you know, I would say shame is just another one of those negative frequencies that's going to exacerbate the problem. So, okay, I can understand your point, meaning embracing that what you're doing is a poor decision and making
it's
change.
It's like what you say about anger, you know. Anger can be good or bad. Shame can be good and bad, you know. I think
I would say as a temporary catalyst to get to a point of overcoming something, I'd agree. My point being, the Squat Life brand is about overcoming everything.
Yeah.
And man, a lot of us have dealt through some really fucked up shit, and like, until you can overcome it, accept it, and get rid of the baggage that comes with it, it'll continue to be a problem that resurfaces in one's life, or one's psyche, or one's emotional vibration over and over and over and over and over. So I'm gonna encourage people, no matter what it is, to get over the shame aspect, get over the anger aspect, and get over the self-loathing aspect as fast as possible, because like breaking that chain of like negative frequency is so important, man. So to your point, identifying the issue and understanding the issue itself is a negative thing, for lack of a better term, is important. But then the key, no matter what it is like leveling up and getting to a point where you no longer have that shame, self-loathing, guilt, unforgiving nature, whatever the point is. Leveling up to a point where you can operate in that higher vibrational frequency is, from my perspective, the ultimate answer for breaking through and breaking the chains of those things that weighs like so many people down. And I speak from a lot of experience too, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the process of self-betterment that you remove, or at least decrease the sense of shame, or feeling inferior and stuff like that, or having depression, you know. It's like, yeah, the shame gets you started, and then you just have some wins. You get up early, or you eat the right thing, or you train properly, or whatever. You put more effort into improving yourself, and you feel less shame, and maybe the shame even disappears because you're doing so well and stacking so many wins, you know. So it's really just about what are you gonna do with the shame. Are you gonna spiral into a severe depression, and then talk about how it's your genetics that makes you suck, and you're just doomed to be sad and fat or whatever all your life? Or are you gonna be an adult man or woman and fucking deal with it and do what you need to do to improve yourself, and act from a place of self-love, or at least like try to develop it, you know?
Right on, man. I'd agree with that. So the Squat Life No Life message is this: attack the problems in your life head on, man. And a lot of times it's just flat out not easy to do. And the better frame of mind you can be in as you attack those problems, the more likely you're going to be successful. And it's a daily battle, man. And there's some people I know that have dealt with some very, very heavy duty dark shit in their past. And I would say the message anybody listening that has had to deal with any very dreadful dark shit in their past is, don't expect any day to be easy. Get up and intentionally get in the frame of mind. Intentionally like cast a vision into the future of where you deserve to be and where you want to be, the version of you that loves yourself, the version of you that wants the best for yourself. And from my perspective, the version of you that wants to be able to help as many people as possible is the key to that daily battle. This, people like to say, this common phrase, the struggle is real. Yeah, the struggle is real, man.
So what the fuck are you gonna do about it? So what is the struggle?
What the fuck you gonna do about it?
Gonna cry about it? Be a little wimp?
Sure, cry about it sometimes.
Are you gonna sit and cry about it like a girl? Are you gonna
cry about it? Fucking cry about it.
Something about it.
Get over it. If that's what it takes to get over it and break through, you got to cry every fucking morning to get over it and move forward and step through in life. Then motherfucking cry about it. Do whatever it takes to get it behind you on that daily battle and moving forward so you can be the best motherfucking version of yourself you can possibly be. So if you want to cry about it, motherfucking cry about it. You want to talk about it, motherfucking talk about it. But you can do whatever it takes to get to that point where you can operate at a higher frequency. You can accept yourself, love yourself, get out there and accomplish some shit that makes you proud and helps you leave a mark in this world and helps change the lives of other people for the better. Planting a seed like a ripple effect, a butterfly effect, if you will. So, yeah, if you need to cry about it, then cry it out.
But it has to be very, very, very bad before you cry like a little girl. You cry.
What's that?
It has to be very, very, very bad if you have to cry about it, in my opinion. I think 99 out of 100, 999 out of 1,000 cases where you're feeling like you want to cry, don't fight it as hard as you can and build that emotion.
That shit. Let it out.
Build that strength, build that character, If it's very bad,
let it out. Fucking cry. I don't give a fuck. The best athletes I know, they fucking let it out. The most high performing people I know, they're in touch with their emotion. I ain't afraid to fucking cry. I don't have nothing to cry about right now. But I'll tell you what, before I would go to my biggest list, my best plays, my best games, I'd fucking cry, man. I've been through a lot of fucking pain, a lot of fucking hurt, seen people die, come close to myself. I ain't afraid to fucking cry. I'll fucking cry, motherfucker, if that's what it takes. I will let that emotion out. Emotion breeds power. Emotion is fuel. So if repressing emotion, you should probably cry too. You probably haven't cried enough, you big motherfucker.
But you just said you have been through a lot, like most people haven't. So that makes a distinction, right?
I'm not talking if you need to. I'm just saying if you feel like you really need to, do it is my point. Don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid of it is my point. I'm not saying walk around crying all day. I think that's healthy.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
All right, hold on. Let me tell you this. For example, like I used to be, I think when I was approximately 15 or 16, my first best friend committed suicide. My mom told me about it. My response was simply to shrug my shoulders. Couldn't accept it, couldn't embrace it, had no feelings, ice cold. Could not even I had zero emotional response. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel any way about it. I just completely buried it and moved on. I think that's probably a situation where crying it out would have been a little better.
Maybe.
Oh, I would say it probably would have, because then over time, when mourning the loss of someone that you love is the mourning process of something that's devastating or a tragedy in your life is very important. I'm positive it is. So as time went on, all of a sudden, it would resurface every now and then, and whatever it was, 25 years later or so, I actually embraced it and took the time to mourn and cry the loss of my dear friend, and that was important to me. That's an example where I think crying was therapeutic, important, and something I had to do to release it instead of holding it on in my gut in a place where it didn't belong.
There are times where crying is okay. So my opinion is, generally speaking, if you feel the sense, the urge to cry, and you fight as hard as you can, think about how much strength that builds.
That's bullshit.
You succeed, you don't succeed, whatever.
Bullshit.
Nah, look at people around you, man. We have serious esteem issues.
I think it's absolutely horrible advice. If you have the urge to cry, that's a real fucking emotion. I don't know each person's individual standpoint.
Just because you feel bad doesn't mean you need to cry, for fuck's sake. You don't need to cry every time you feel bad. It's like, oh, tears coming. It's like, oh, I need to release it. No.
Maybe you do. How do you know? That's
it has to be bad.
Someone else's path. Maybe they should. Maybe they need a good cry every morning. Who fucking gives a shit?
I can't.
It doesn't affect you at all. If you have a real strong urge to cry, fight it so you don't cry. What kind of bullshit is that? It's like you have to laugh about something. Something's funny. No, don't laugh. Don't let it out. Don't laugh. That's bad to release that emotion.
You know,
release that emotion. Be a fucking real man and be bold with who you are.
You know, Corey, as a man in this world, you are expendable, right?
Of course.
When Titanic sank, you know that all the women and children got a place in a lifeboat, and the men were expected to stay on the boat and drown, right?
I don't know. Let's just assume for this discussion that's accurate.
Do you think most of those men, they just sat down in a circle and cried together?
I don't.
Do you think they were like, no,
actually,
leave me on the boat? Or do you think they were more stoically like, okay, I know my place in society, I have to do this, I have to sacrifice myself, and they did it? You know,
I would say
men.
I would disagree. I would say
men are not
guys, yes.
Men are
not. We're just speculating. Since we are purely speculating.
Yeah.
Since we're purely speculating, I would say
half of this episode.
Right. Since we're purely speculating on that historical instance,
I would say most of the guys probably did. Do you think soldiers rushing over a hill to a battle that they know 1 in 3 people are gonna get die, seriously injured, and not harmed at all? And they're just marching, crying, "Oh, I hope I will survive." No, men are expected to be stoic, and we have to practice that.
No, I actually know combat veterans. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in combat. 100%.
I bet soldiers cry, but they also practice not crying. You know, they practice to be very, very fucking hard motherfuckers. You know.
Well, I bet you this too. I bet you put a fucking cigarette in my forearm and a cigarette in yours, you're gonna cry first. If you want to have a contest, you want to have a pissing contest.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, well, you're like, going to an extreme example. I'm just saying, if there's an emotional release that you have to have, fucking have it.
Well, obviously, like if you're holding on to something and you really need to let it go in order to move forward, I guess it's better than fucking taking another drug or whatever, you know. So I'm agreeing with you that if it's really bad and you need to cry, then fucking do it, you know. But I'm also saying there's strength in learning not to cry and practicing to, you know, be more stoic and kind of dealing with what's going on in a constructive manner.
No, I think we've probably exhausted that subject.
Yeah, I think we talk past each other, in part because you keep interrupting me, dude. You're so passionate.
It's something I'm good at.
There's no complaint from me. You're just passionate about. I like it. So time is right now.
Hey, where are we on time frame for this part, Matthias?
A minute and 14 seconds.
All right, let's take a break.
All right, good.